Welcome everyone to this Horizon Europe info event on the funding opportunities that are available for you in 2022. I want to start saying that digital technologies are everywhere. And the great goal of the European Commission is to have a green and digital transformation of Europe. The two goals of green and digital, they are really combined. It's clear to the European Commission that without digital technologies and application of digital technologies, there cannot be a green Europe. They two are so intertwined that the European Commission calls the twin transition, green and digital transition. This is clear because digital technologies shape all sectors of the society and economy. But in order to do that, we need you to have competitive and trusted technologies that can be applied in Europe. The European Commission has for you only for 2022 hundreds of funding opportunities. And today we are going to guide you into this vast number of opportunities. The agenda today that we are going through the event, I will start presenting. My name is Riccardo Scarinci. I'm the NCP for Digital at Euresearch. And here with my colleague Nicole Wies. She's the NCP for Health, Security and Research Infrastructures. And then we will have a testimonial from Mark Miller that will tell you more about how to participate in European funding and more on the benefits that you have in participating. After the testimonial of Mark, we, with Nicole and myself, we will go through the concrete funding opportunities that are there for you in 2022. Throughout the event, we have a series of question and answers. Feel free to write your question in the chat, in the question and answer function at any moment. And in the middle of this event, we will also take a short break. The event is recorded and the presentation will be distributed at the end of the event, together also with a short survey to know your feedback on the event. Now, before giving the floor to my colleague, I want to discuss with you why you should participate to European projects. And surprisingly, I would like to say that money is not the most important reason to participate to European funding. But if it's not for the money, let's clarify what are the main benefits. The first one is excellence. European projects are extremely competitive, and as a result, if you are part of one, you are identified worldwide as one of the best researchers and innovators in your field. The second benefit why you should participate is collaboration. The European dimension of the project opens new collaboration and exploitation opportunity in a truly interdisciplinarity environment, and this is together with the brightest mind in Europe. And finally, I would say the most important benefit of all is the impact that you are making by contributing to solve global challenges. And what we have seen here is mostly going also toward a green Europe, but also improving health, saving the climate, all done by the use of digital technologies. Said so, I now give the screen to my colleague, Nicole. Please, Nicole, the screen is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Also from my side, I'm Nicole Wies. I am national contact point for research infrastructures, health and security. But before presenting these aspects, we would like to know a little bit more about yourself. We prepared a poll and which I will launch now. And we would like you to answer the two questions we prepared. We would like to know where you work, if it's in the academic, private sector, or elsewhere, and what is your experience level in European framework programs. So, yeah, a few more seconds to answer. Okay. Okay. So we see, do you see the results? Yeah, most of you are from academia, but it's a nice mix also with private sector and other parts. And you also have, there is a good mix of experience between people having already participated or are participating in new projects and having no experience. Thank you for sharing this with us. And I will now briefly present the status of Switzerland, because it is important information for all of us. Switzerland is not member of the European Union and has therefore to negotiate the association to Horizon Europe. And Switzerland is not associated yet. Negotiations didn't start, and Switzerland has therefore the status of a non-associated third country. And for the 2021 calls, for those of you who submitted proposals, you know that Swiss entities could participate in most collaborative research projects with the status of an associated partner, and that funding was or will be provided via the Swiss government. This is similar to the situation that took place between 2014 and 2016 in Horizon 2020. The difference now in Horizon Europe is this new associated partner status. What are associated partners? They have an active role in the project with tasks and deliverables. They can lead work packages. They are part of the consortium, and their role is clearly described in the proposals. They cannot be coordinators, and they typically sign the consortium agreement or a separate collaboration agreement. In the picture on the right, you see a beneficiary in the darker inner circle with a collaboration agreement with the Swiss associated partner having his own budget. Associated partners don't sign the grant agreement. This is restricted to the beneficiaries. Their costs are not funded by the European Commission, but funding is available from the State Secretariat for Education, Research and Innovation, SERI. And for the coming round of calls for proposals, as the negotiation didn't start yet, you should plan your project participation as associated partner also now for the 2022 calls. So the same as was the case for 2021. And funding for your project participation is available. But the goal to be associated to Horizon Europe as soon as possible is still the goal of CERI and the Swiss government. Therefore, you should keep an eye on the developments and adapt your narrative in the proposal accordingly. You should stay flexible, but don't let the negotiations hold you back in your participation. With this, I open, no, I forgot that you find the latest information on the CERI website. You have here the link to it, and they have really updated FAQs and information. They have the financial guarantee letter you need. They have information how to submit your funding request on their portal. So have a look in case of questions. If you have now burning immediate questions, I open the floor. You can type your questions in the Q&A. Thank you.
So we will do this first round of questions. So we would like to focus first on the association status, and if you have questions on the role of the associated partners, and then we will take further questions down the event. I see some attendants raise their hand. We will not take questions orally. These are too many of you. So please feel free to write your question on the chat. Write your question also for the follow-up of the event. Feel free always to post them there. I see no immediate question, so I would suggest to carry on with the event. And this is for me a great pleasure to introduce Mark Miller. He is going to be our testimonial today. He's the founder and CEO of Conceptivity. Conceptivity addresses cybersecurity and supply chain security challenges. He has been extremely successful in European funding, and we are extremely grateful that he's here to share his experience. So, Mark, we leave the floor to you.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Thanks for all the participants for attending this this event today. I was asked to talk about what the benefits of the European projects are, and I've extended that a bit, and so I'm not just going to talk about the benefits. I'm going to talk also about a bit about the environment of the current situation, as was discussed briefly by Nicole, and also I'm going to make a few recommendations because I saw that there are some who have not had a lot of experience yet in the European projects arena. And as I've been doing it now, going all the way back until 2004, with quite a number of successful projects, I think it's important to share the, let's say, the learnings and even some of the frustrations that I've had. So to get to the first points, which are what I got out or what my company has gotten out of the European projects, I will say first and foremost, revenue is not the most important thing. I think one of the most interesting parts, and I'm talking from a corporate perspective, so we're an SME, is the fact that the European projects have resulted in a lot of additional client engagements. Because for a lot of the projects, we actually have the requirement for end users to be part of the project. And end users are ultimately clients, customers for an SME like my own SME. So the result is that not only do we get opportunities to actually work in a project with a lot of end users, but at the same time, those end users become either consulting clients or even become direct clients for services that my company provides. And also, in addition, some of the partners of the projects, and not just the end users, become clients or become opportunities for the future. So I would say, I would extend the comment about clients to say it provides opportunities for other projects, for other engagements, for other challenges to be addressed in the future. So it is a stepping stone for a lot of other things. Secondly, and it was mentioned about the issue of excellence when Ricardo mentioned the fact that excellence is one of the first aspects that is interesting from a perspective of an organization that becomes part of the European projects. It's the issue of image. My SME is tiny. We're a micro SME. The most employees we've ever had have been 5. Currently we're 2 plus about a half, which means that even very, very small companies, even organizations and even academic organizations, which are lesser known, have an opportunity to actually put their image, not just Europe-wide, but internationally. So I would say image is also another key point in all of this, and the opportunity to expose your research to the world, or even your solutions and your approach or your services to the world, is a very, very important aspect which cannot be removed from the discussion. Furthermore, also Ricardo mentioned collaboration, and I would say this is one of the key aspects of the European projects. You get a chance to collaborate across many, many different countries, and not just European countries. We have projects where we have partners from Singapore, we have partners from Dubai, we have partners from the United States of America, we've got partners from other Asian countries as well, India. We even have some African partners that we work with in one of our projects as well. So, and in some ways, one of the goals of the initial framework program was to get cooperation going between researchers, corporate structures, and organizations across the European Union and across Europe from areas that didn't always cooperate because of either national barriers or even aspects of language problems and language barriers. So in some ways, the European projects have been this grand opportunity for collaboration, and that also results in a very positive impact in terms of essentially sharing research, being able to build one upon another. And there are quite a number of stories that I can share about ideas that started in one environment and actually resulted in a very positive impact, because 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. Sometimes 1 + 1 equals 3 or 4, or even more. So collaboration is one of the key aspects. I do come to revenue, and okay, it's definitely not number one, but one of the things that results from being part of the European project is a grant. And that grant allows you to do the research, allows you to use that for development, allows you to use that for dissemination, allows you to actually accomplish the objectives that you have put in your proposal and your proposed project. So in a lot of respects, the revenue is really the enabler and not necessarily the goal, but at the same time, that enabler is important for the equation. So yes, revenue is there, and yes, revenue does have an impact in terms of the result. Some other aspects, and you know, I'll mention it, and it's also quite well oriented toward SMEs. is building a very, very large network. We've had projects where we've had 74 partners. We have currently a project that has 44 partners across 28 different EU member states and the US and Switzerland and Turkey, by the way. We also have had projects with other third countries as well, like Israel. So there are real opportunities for building a very large network. And just to give you a quick example, when there are new project proposal topics that come out of Horizon Europe or the European funding programs, the opportunity presented, I can easily look at that and say, this is going to be interesting for this partner, this partner, this partner, and this partner. And then I can get in touch with them because I have the network now. And okay, it's not always a partner that will, or not always a topic that Conceptivity will want to work on, but it might be a topic that multiple other organizations that I know might want to work upon. And there have been a couple of cases where I have actually, among my colleagues, I've stimulated a process of putting together a proposal, and in the end, it wasn't appropriate or wasn't interesting for Conceptivity, but colleagues and other partner companies did so. And by the same reciprocation measure, there are other times where other partners find opportunities that are clearly for Conceptivity. So they share those with me. So in the end, what ends up happening is this network becomes an information sharing network, a proposal opportunity network, an opportunity for even other client engagements, which have resulted from other partners as a result of this. So the impact of building this large network is quite significant. And yes, there are times where Conceptivity or myself, we have to make the decision not to pursue something because there are just too many things in the pipeline. And I think that's the other challenge, obviously. And it's something else which is, I will speak about in the recommendations in relation to narrowing your focus and making sure that you expose the best parts of your expertise and experience. Let me make a comment about that network aspect too. My SME is tiny, as I mentioned, but we have a very strong European footprint. And why is it? It's because of these European projects. It's because, yes, I am the vice chairman of the European Cybersecurity Organization, and yes, I am the vice chairman of the European Organization for Security. But part of that is also in recognition of all of the things that Conceptivity has been doing with respect to the European projects. So it is a European footprint for an organization that may not have yet that opportunity for the European footprint. Or, as some people put it, my tiny little SME gets much more image than it actually should be due, given the fact that we're Swiss, we're not part of the European Union yet. When it comes to a lot of the European Union aspects related to cybersecurity and supply chain security, my little SME is invited and is at the table and sits at the table with some of the biggest companies. And part of that has to do with the fact that we are part of the European projects. Let me make a few other comments about all of these. There are also some other aspects when we have collaborations with academic institutions. We also find potential employees among our partners because, of course, academic institutions, some researchers are lifelong researchers in that academic institution. Others are actually in the process of getting a PhD or another degree at the academic institution. And once they're finished and completed their postdoctoral work, quite often they're available to be employed. So there have been times where my little SME has found opportunities to work with researchers that are coming from the academic and research side. So from an SME perspective, being part of the European projects has exposed my company to a lot of different academic research and even other SMEs and even other big companies. So there is this opportunity to also find new potential employees. Also, as I had mentioned earlier, new project opportunities, project engagements result from these collaborations. And some are not directly related to the projects we're doing, but some are actually tangential to that. But at times, because there are organizations that get to know your expertise and capabilities, they're very willing to engage your organization in other projects, in other proposals, in other direct client engagements. And that has been also a benefit for Conceptivity. And then I'm going to list the last benefit that is something quite relevant and important. I have a lot of friends now, friends from many different realms of security. Those who are researchers, those who are collaborators, those who are working in different large, small, medium-sized academic research areas. And this makes a big difference when you collaborate together and you work together in a positive way. So from that standpoint, I would say it's not just the network of, let's say, corporate contacts or the network of contacts for business, but also making those friendships is very important, because in the future, when you care about one another and one another's organization, you can do amazing things. And this is, I'm very thankful for the friends. I'm very thankful for those companies that have worked with us, those research organizations that have worked with us, those universities that have worked with us, those other institutions, those even all the, as well, the end users that have worked with us. And I'm thankful for the friends that we have there. So there's a lot in all of that. Let me put a few points out there about the current environment. As Ricardo has said, there's a lot more competition. When we first started doing this, and when I first started doing it in the early 2000s, we selected a lot of topics where we had a wealth of experience. We worked with partners that had even more experience in the European projects than we did. And we were successful 95% of the time. In some of the recent proposals that we've done, it's been more difficult given the fact that the number of proposals submitted is much higher, given the fact that the level of the proposals and the, let's say, the quality of the proposals is much, much higher. Also, the requirements are higher. We have to always have end users. We always have to have certain aspects that are covered. We have to make sure to address all of the different objectives that and the scope that are in the topic text. So the challenges are more, and it comes down to a lot of careful selection. It comes down to also looking for the right kinds of partners, and some of those have political elements to them. So when we're looking at a project and we put together a team that includes 5 German partners and 1 Spanish partner and 1 French partner and 1 Swiss partner, well, maybe that's a little bit too heavy on the German partners. So we always have to think about all the considerations and all of the cooperation there as well. So as I say, it's more competitive. As was mentioned by Nicole, Switzerland is now going to be a 3rd country, at least until the association agreement is complete. This does mean that Swiss organizations cannot be coordinators, but, and I would recommend this strongly, and I'll come back to that in the recommendations, if you do have the opportunity, lead a work package. It's the right kind of thing. It's the right kind of way to start to get your image as a Swiss organization into the minds of all of those around you, and show your excellence. Okay. Obviously, Nicole has also gone into the fact that CIRI will also do the funding for successful projects. So, and with the letter that that CIRI has provided, you can provide that to your potential partners to reassure them that you're not joining them and quote unquote taking away budget, because your budget's going to come from the Swiss government. And finally, despite the fact that Swiss organizations cannot be coordinators, it is important that we don't stop being part of the European projects. It's important because Swiss organizations have contributed significantly to the impact and the results of projects that have been occurring. And by the way, that's also another very, very important element of what we as Conceptivity get out of our European projects. We are able to make a significant impact. Just to give you a quick example and to share a quick anecdote with you, we were part of the Cyberwatching.eu project. As part of the project, we actually did a research deliverable, which involved looking at all of the roadmaps for cybersecurity that are out there. Okay, maybe we missed a few, but we looked at all the European ones that were readily available. We looked at the North American ones. We looked at even Asia. And we also looked at what we did in our actual project. We compared all of these roadmaps. We took out the key elements that appeared in all of them. We did a comparison. We showed which things were outliers, perhaps only in one or two of the roadmaps. And then we also grouped all the recommendations. This was the first time that any organization had actually done this extensive analysis of all of the roadmaps for cybersecurity and cybersecurity research. This is also one of the first times that anyone had ever grouped all of the policy recommendations. And the European Commission actually, at the end of the project, asked Conceptivity and the project partners to actually come back together, even though the project was finished, and redo a document that is going to be internal for the European Commission to address all of the policy issues that we've noted. Not to mention the fact that there were other roadmaps which noted policy issues which could be interesting for the European Commission to understand. So, and this type of impact, we feel strongly, because this is the first time that this extensive analysis has been done, we can have a significant impact. Conceptivity led that work package. Conceptivity led that deliverable. Conceptivity edited that deliverable. Conceptivity did the majority of the research in that deliverable. And Conceptivity is recognized in the consortium, and the Commission has recognized the consortium for an exceptional level of work. So that is also, again, one of the benefits of all of this is making a positive impact in Europe. Now on to the final section of this discussion, which is the recommendations. As mentioned, Conceptivity is a micro SME. It does mean that we have to do, let's say, multi-networking. It's not just a matter of networking within those other SMEs, which, by the way, is very difficult because a lot of SMEs do not reach beyond the national level. And we have actually taken a very strong opportunity to be at the European level And as I mentioned, part of that has to do with our European projects. Part of it has to do also with our membership in EXO and EOS. We're also members of Trust in Digital Life, and I'm a board member of Trust in Digital Life. I'm also the chair of the Security Industry Task Force on Artificial Intelligence. And we're also members of AEI Cyberseguridad, which is primarily a Spanish cybersecurity grouping. But because of a lot of things that we've been doing with the cybersecurity label and even a number of our projects, our collaborations are quite extensive with AEI. And as a result, we became a member there. A lot of these aspects mean, and that's why I say multi-networking, it really means that you need to look at opportunities to network with those quite outside your own comfort zone. Looking at, universities, we work with a lot of universities. We work with a lot of big companies. We work with a lot of end user organizations, customs, law enforcement, the postal organizations. We work with a lot of governments as well, directly. And as I say, multi-networking is a very, very important and key point in all of this. Multi-teaming, and I use it's the same as networking. A lot of times we found successful teams, and we've done multiple proposals with the same set of successful teams, but at the same time finding and teams form and other teams break apart and teams reform in different ways, and maybe even two teams come together for a new proposal. Finding your way into those teaming and collaboration opportunities is a very, very important recommendation. And part of that also has to do, and that's one of the things that's changed during the COVID pandemic period, the face-to-face opportunities and the physical presence and physical meetings. A lot of my contacts and even our collaborations with other organizations will say to me and to our organization, conceptivity is everywhere. There's a meaning of DG Connect, conceptivity is there. There's a meaning of the security industry related to supply chain, conceptivity is there. There's a meeting of the European Cybersecurity Organization Working Group 1. Oh, conceptivity happens to be the chairman for standardization and certification. Physical presence and face-to-face meetings are important. I know during COVID and the pandemic, it's not always possible to do so, and things are slowly changing with COVID certificates and so on. But I would recommend, if you are keen on these collaborations, it makes a difference to be face-to-face with someone. It makes a difference because afterward, and that's the one benefit of COVID pandemic for conceptivity, because of developing all the face-to-face relationships, you're able to pick up the phone or the video conference and to talk to those people you've already met, you already know, you've already collaborated with, you've already talked with, you've already had a relationship with. These are important aspects. Relationships matter. Relationships count. And I think that's an important element, and I would say one of the most important elements. As I say, multi-teaming is important, meaning don't just stay with your one comfortable team. Find other opportunities for proposals and for projects. Of course, do not jump the ethics and have a situation where you submit two proposals for one topic, but with two different teams, knowing that you're keeping your feet on both sides and hoping one is successful and the other is or whatever, even both are successful. That is something we don't do. But again, your character and your relationships count. So multi-teaming is good. Maybe on one topic you work with one team, on another topic you work with another team, and you find benefits to both teams, and perhaps one team will be successful and perhaps both teams will be successful. So multi-teaming is also an interesting aspect. Also use existing successful projects as a jumping off point. If you have a successful project in Horizon Europe or a successful project, a proposal, a grant award, use it as a jumping off point. Use that as, okay, look for the next topic that's an opportunity in that same area. Make sure that you establish with your coordinator and with those who are you're partnering with that you would like to be part of the follow-on, and make sure you do the work properly. And that's another key point. I will say, both in the terms of the proposal and the project, pull your weight. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. All too often we've had partners, and sometimes very big company partners, who have promised that they will do certain things and they did not. Those who have actually been involved in projects, and there have been a couple of cases where we needed to stop the involvement of that project partner in the project because they were not doing what they were supposed to be doing for the tasks that were in that project. Another important point is, when you have the opportunity, you demonstrate your expertise and competence. And that's very important. Make sure that when you're in a project, as much as possible, you can use the expertise and competence of your organization to effectively contribute to the significant impact of that project. So make sure to focus those points. And when you're doing the proposal, make sure to let the coordinator and those who are key in writing the proposal know where your best area of competence is and how you can contribute to that and to the success. Also, use your network to find new opportunities. Ask people. I mean, I do all the time. Okay, what are the new proposals? Are you in any new consortia that are doing something interesting? Can I find out more about that? And don't hesitate to ask. Some may tell you, some may not, but it's important to get out there and to have those relationships so that when the opportunities do come, that you can be part of the discussion. I also throw in something else: perseverance. Don't give up. We had a lot of success in the Framework Program 6. We had a lot of success in the program, the Preparatory Action for Security Research, the PASR. We had a lot of success in Framework Program 7, and we had some success in Horizon 2020, and even more later in the Horizon 2020 funding series. But there have been times where we've submitted 7 and 8 proposals, and maybe we're successful with one. We have other times where we submitted 3 proposals and we won all 3. So again, I come back to, don't give up, persevere, find the right partnering opportunities, lead a work package. As I mentioned earlier, one of the key points is take the opportunity to grab the flag and run with it. And even if it's a non-technical work package, conceptivity tends to lead work packages that are non-technical, or in some cases tangential, like, for example, standardization and certification, dissemination, communication, exploitation. We also have a lot of experience in very, very large projects doing the quality assurance. We had one large project and then 74 partners, 348 deliverables over a period of 5 years. What a challenging project. But we were successful, and we actually had every single deliverable accepted. So again, find your strengths and use them in the opportunities and in the consortium. And finally, I come back to face-to-face physical presence. It makes a difference. Relationships matter. Develop those relationships. Develop your network. Work with all of those who can put the pieces together and help you to put the pieces together. And yes, you don't have to accept everybody in your consortium. You can even mention to different organizations, okay, if you come into this consortium, we're expecting you to do this, this, and this. And of course, making sure that they live up to their expectations is part of the equation. So that's my pitch about European projects. I would say just one last thing: enjoy, because it is fun. Have fun. Have fun with the new collaborations. Have fun with the opportunities also to travel to new places and see new technologies and be part of consortia that are making an impact, that are making a positive impact on the future of Europe. Thank you very much, and thank you to Euresearch for the opportunity to speak about all of these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Your talk has been so inspirational and so full of information that are extremely useful for all the participants, from the beginners that we've seen, we have many, but also for the most experienced one. And if I have to take just a few points out of your talk, I found it extremely important what you mentioned, to remain part of European projects, in particular also in this transition time, that they are unclear time, because the value of Swiss contribution is clear for everyone. And also when you mentioned that the requirements are higher and the success rate is lower, this is true. This we see that the proposals, the requirements are higher and they need more structure. And here I would like to say, mostly for the newcomers, so that Euresearch is here exactly for this point. We know how to support you to make this structure to advance your chances. And then, Mark, I really would like to thank you about a point that we often forget, about the one of making friends in the process. This is not only about works, it's all about creating connection at a European level, and it goes worldwide level, and creative friendship. Thank you very much, Mark. So we will take some questions for you. We have one question from the chat. Yeah. Yes, please.
So I will read the first question from Anna, who says, thank you for the inspiring talk. She would like to hear a bit more about funding opportunities. What is the procedure to get money for the successful EU grants? And since the Swiss government does not directly finance business, how does it work for SMEs? So,
sure.
What would you like to say?
Sure. First of all, of course, the procedure is very clear in terms of the European Commission. If you look for the Horizon Europe portal, you have to register. And okay, as an SME, I register as an SME. I go through a certain process. I provide information. There is eventually a validation that occurs to be sure that my organization is an SME. I provide documentation such as the corporate register information, etc. Of course, we have to have a proposal team, a consortium. And okay, usually that consortium must consist of at least 1, 2, or 3 organizations from different member states, of which, of course, Switzerland is not. So finding an appropriate consortium is also a challenge. And again, that's the network aspect of it. Once that is done, a proposal is developed to address a specific topic. And the deadlines of those proposals are on a rolling basis. The next deadline for the Horizon Europe topics is actually the 23rd of November. And we actually have 5 proposals which will be completed for the 23rd of November. The submission of the proposals is done on the 23rd of November. when the evaluation is finished, which I expect is going to be sometime by February, March, and the decisions made about the successful organizations, the European Commission signs a grant agreement, of which, of course, the Swiss partner will not be signing because the Swiss partner does not receive a grant. My understanding is that the Swiss partner can then apply, once it's clear that the project is successful, the Swiss partner can apply to CIRI to receive the grant directly from CIRI. And the rules, essentially all the rules of how everything is done is almost the same, except there are some limitations on salaries for researchers. There are some limitations, some changes with respect to the level of audit once you reach a certain level, and the way of presenting different aspects. And that, my understanding is that all of that can be found on the horizon-europe.ch website. So my organization has not gone through the process to get funding from CIRI, but my understanding is it's very straightforward. So, but with the comment about SMEs not receiving funding, the aspect of this is these are actually grant contracts. These are actually grants in terms of research, and SMEs can contribute to research, and SMEs can receive grants. These are not direct funding from the Swiss government for a subsidy for an SME. No, it's actually a grant to work on a specific research topic, and it has to do with cooperation in Europe, and Switzerland being part of that. And maybe some of the Euresearch colleagues can comment on that. But I do think that this is a very relatively straightforward process, if not somewhat difficult, because you have to find the consortium, you have to put together the proposal, you have to be successful, and then once you're successful, apply to CIRI and go through that process. But perhaps Nicole or Ricardo, you have some comments on this.
Whatever you said is perfectly correct. I just summarize the practical point. So on the first question, what is the procedure to get money from the successful EU grants? From the Swiss side, there is a web platform. In the slide that we sent, there is the link on that. And when you are successful, there is a procedure on how to state to CIRI that you that you won the proposal, and there is a financial guarantee. So you will have the money. This will not be another evaluation. On the second part, exactly, I wondered that Mark already answered that the Swiss government does not finance directly SME. This is not the case for Horizon Europe successful proposal. This is the grant, instead of the European Commission, is provided by CIRI, so there are no changes. Said so, I read another question, and it's from Mag, that says that she is leading a new international research and policy consortium working on digital governance and human rights. Can we suggest some upcoming opportunities to network to meet EU partners? So first of all, I would like to say this topic here of digital and human rights is extremely present in Horizon Europe, so it's an extremely good topic where to work on. Then on specific opportunities for networking, we always suggest to check the brokerage event that they are created by EEN. And these often, they are not only specific for European projects, but is where you find the same stakeholders. We see the most successful companies, and I think Mark is an expert on this, that they go to this event prepared. They have an agenda. They know what they want, what their contribution is. So this will be for me the first suggestion. And be registered to the Euresearch website. We will always send e-alert when such brokerages are present. Please, Mark, if you want to also comment on the strategy to adopt at this meeting, that I think you are the expert on that.
Well, just to give you a quick example of how I operate, before the event happens, I identify the topics that are relevant for my company. I listened to all of the different presentations, and immediately afterward, I speak with the presenters specifically about those opportunities that are related to my company. Sometimes, even in advance, I know that certain organizations are following some topics, and I can even pre-book meetings to be able to say, okay, I'm going to focus on this organization or that organization. So I think planning, preparation, as I would always say, is 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Plan, 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 and plan. So when the information day of the European Commission happens, also as well, there are so many opportunities there to actually interact, as well as there are other events which are related to, for example, there's an event that the security industry does. Of course, this year we're a bit too late for that, and it was actually canceled this year. It's called the SMIGS. And that event also is another opportunity to interact with other researchers and to have opportunities to find consortia. But I think you should take opportunities with the European Commission, especially the info days. When these info days happen, make sure that you sign up for the info day, and if you can attend in person, again, that makes a very, very big impact difference, being able to be there in front of other researchers and discuss. The other thing is, it's also possible to present during those info days. And there were some cases where I made a presentation, even though I knew the Conceptivity was not going to be a coordinator for a proposal, but I made a presentation about a specific project opportunity anyway, just to be able to get it top of mind. And actually, in 2 cases, we developed a consortium based upon the presentation that I made. Even though Conceptivity was not the coordinator, Conceptivity took a large role as a work package leader, but in the end, stepping up and volunteering to help to make this happen is also important. So those are my recommendations.
Thank you very much, Mark, for this answer and for your speech today. I suggested that we carry on. We will have another question and answer session at the end. So for the not answered questions, so please keep it there. We'll take them at the end of the event. So thanks, Mark. And now we move more on the funding opportunities, now that we have clarified why it's important and what are all the benefits that you can have from participating to European projects. So the problem we are facing today is that digital is everywhere, and we really have funding opportunities all over Horizon Europe. We try to identify the most relevant topics that are for digital, and we come out with more than 100 topics per se. So the question that we have today is, how do we present these topics to you? One thing that we did was to take the full work programs that there are around Horizon Europe and transform them in a word cloud to see what are the keywords that pop up for digital. And here you can look inside the big and the small. What I see is data, extremely important, quantum technologies show up, robotics that is linked to industry and digital transformation, and of course, computing. One way to present all this topic could be to present them by technology type. For example, we present all the topics that are in robotics, but we decide to group them in another way, to group them by destination. Destination is a new term that is introduced with Horizon Europe, and is extremely important that you know the destination that your topic is into. Destinations are a collection of actions that needs to contribute to meeting expected impacts. And these expected impacts are wide and long-term effects on the society, environment, and economy that should emerge from your research and innovation actions. So it's extremely important that your proposal focus on the technical challenges, but also to meet this long-term expected impact that they are describing in the destination. So now we will present them by destination, and later on we will show only one example of a red lines that follows the topics linked to a specific technology. As I mentioned, digital is everywhere. Here we can see the structure of Horizon Europe that is divided in 3 pillars. The first one focuses on excellent science with the bottom-up research of the ERC, mobility of Marie Sklodowska-Curie action, but also the very important part of research infrastructure for digital. Pillar 2 tackles all these global challenges that we mentioned. And here we have the cluster on health. In particular, digital health is extremely important here, but then we go from culture, civil security, industry, space, climate, and food. And then the third pillar instead is more for industry-oriented, goes toward on the implementation of the technologies. And here we have the EIC with the accelerator and other opportunities. What I will do, I will focus on the digital part in pillar 2. What Nicole will do will broaden a bit the scope in going on the research infrastructure, health, and civil security society. Only focusing on this part, we have no time to present you each specific topic. So what we decided to do is to group them by destination. And for each destination, we will touch the meta sectors where you will find topics. This is the goal, that you will have a better understanding on where to start looking for topics inside this vast amount of opportunities. So digital within the cluster digital industry space has 3 destinations. The first one that we look is the destination 3, and is called World Leading Data and Computing Technologies. Here, clearly, you see that the main keyword is the use of data and computing. It's clear that the European Commission wants to have a wider and more effective use of data, and this should lead to benefit for the society and economy. And extremely important, always the European value of security and trust in data should always be respected. This destination with these clear wider impacts at the end has 4 main sections. The first one is on data sharing in the common European data space. Here, what Europe wants to do is to become the most successful area in the world in terms of data sharing and data reuse. This, of course, respecting security and privacy and following the so-called FAIR principle, in which the data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Here is plenty of funding opportunities. The second section goes on strengthening Europe's data analytic capacity. Here, clearly, we move from having the data to using the data. So Europe wants to increase the autonomy that it has in processing this large amount of data, that this will lead to the replacement of classical experiment in data-driven digital models. And also here should be considered the use of this model, so to have advanced decision-making strategies that are based on data. The third section within this destination is called From Cloud to Edge to Internet of Things. Here, clearly, we are looking at funding opportunities that are in the domain of distributed applications, because currently 80% of all processing powers is done in centralized computing facilities, and only 20% is on the edge, in the smart nodes of this infrastructure. So we need more research and innovation to go to cloud and edge computing and the orchestration of these technologies. Clearly here, the main keywords is Internet of Things. And when we discuss about connected devices, cybersecurity is always a key issue. The third section is on high-end computing for exascale performance. This is based on a partnership. We will discuss a bit later, but that means that here there is behind a partnership that is HPC partnership, high performance computing, that has the goal of developing the first exascale supercomputer based on European technologies. For doing this, we need the hardware, but also the software for doing that. And at the end, there is also the need to use this supercomputing capability as a test beds to use the demonstrating the value of HPC in key technology area, basically using the data, the analytical power, and the edge computing. The funding opportunity in supercomputing will be published with an independent work program directly from the partnership in HPC. Now we zoom out again and we change destination. Again, remember destination as this long-term impact that you need to know in which destination your topic is based. This second destination with focus on digital is called Digital and Emerging Technologies for Competitiveness and Fit for the Green Deal. Here, the expected impact the European Commission wants to achieve is to have a greater European strategic autonomy in all the key sectors in the technologies. And at the same time, to bring a more green digital supply chain that goes from the essential components, creating the hardware, to the platforms where this hardware works. Here, there are opportunities in a large number of key technological areas. And I group them in 8 key technological areas. Each of them is plenty of topics for you to dive into. The first section is on ultra-low power processors. Currently, Europe is not present in the microprocessor market. And what we want to do is to enter the market, but with focus on low power and low environmental impact. The second section, again, with several topics in 2022, is on basic electronics. Here, the section is called European Innovation Leadership in Electronics. What the Europeans want to achieve, thanks to your research and innovation, is to strengthen European leadership in strategic sector, for example, in automotive, manufacturing, and healthcare, and also establish Europe as a world player in novel paradigms in technologies, and we're thinking about the neuromorphic technologies or neural network technologies. The third key technological areas is on photonic. Europe has already an excellent position in photonics at worldwide, and the goal here is to have more research innovation to strengthen this current leadership in all technologies application, also including cutting-edge technologies in photonic. Now we move to the 3 other key technology areas within this destination, and one important one full of opportunities is 6G and foundational connectivity technologies. We need to get ready for what we call the smart cities, in which we are expecting more than 10 million connected devices per square kilometers. And to ensure this connectivity, we need your support for future connectivity standards, also including this paradigm of cloud and edge computing, and to have connected device that, of course, goes way beyond smartphones. The next section is on innovation in artificial intelligence, data, and robotics. This section is clearly extremely important for the future of these technologies. And in this case, Europe has a very strong position for the scientific communities in this domain, but is behind for the diffusion and application of artificial intelligence technologies. The goal here is to find the correct way to remove all the barriers for an industrial deployment of these technologies in a vast variety of sectors from transport, agriculture, energy, and media. The next section is on tomorrow's deployable robots. Europe has already a leading position in robotic industry, but the next step will be the interest of bringing artificial intelligence power robotics, and doing that always keeping in mind the strong European value of efficiency, robustness, safety, and trust in the use of these technologies. As I mentioned, this destination is plenty of key area. Now we look at the last two. The last one is the next to the last one is a very interesting one, is on European leadership in emerging enabling technologies. This is a very interesting one because here we have more freedom to experiment in innovative technology that have a great transformative possibilities, and so focus on technologies that are a bit off roadmap, but they bring a great possibility to transform in the long time horizon and bring a really strong impact in the field. Here, the European Commission already identifies some technology, for example, 3D, spintronics, but there is also space for bottom-up topics. That means that you can come up with your innovative technologies that are strong disrupting possibility. And the last section in this destination is graphene. Here, the goal is to move from the first products that are currently being launched to the first, they call it market-ready advantages of having a upscale of this technology and use. So what we want here is to have the use of these technologies in a concrete area, and we think about aviation, automotive, but also electronics, and particularly in batteries, to show the advantages of using these technologies in real productions. Now, before we move to the third digital destination, I have a question for you that I will do through a poll, and I would like to know if so far you found already a key area that is for you, and in which of the following areas that we group by keywords you are mostly interested into. I launch the poll and I leave a few seconds to answer it. The answers are coming, and I will share the result shortly. And they are also very interesting. So I just wait a few seconds more. Excellent. Thank you very much. Now we see, I think we go back to the point that digital is really everywhere, and the use of digital technology is so wide. You can see here we have basically all of you have in different part, from 6G, artificial intelligence, cloud, data, extended reality, photonics, quantum, semiconductors, and I'm sure that we also left other away. Also here, that I use this occasion to tell you that none of this technology could work in an integrated way without the need of other technologies. That's why we need to create consortia, and this you have to, as Mark mentioned, to work together in team to reach this expected impact of the destination. So now we move to the third and final destination in the digital part of the work program, that is on human-centered and ethical development of digital and industrial technologies. So here the goals is to understand the social effect that the digital transformation is having on the society and the economy, evaluating both the benefit but also the potential risks that this brings, if you think about the work, is a skill mismatch, but also about security and privacy. Because at the end, what we want to have is a human-centered approach to technologies development. Here we have three main subsections, and the first one focus again on artificial intelligence, but with the focus of being based on trust. It is extremely important that we bring the European and ethical values in artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is extremely powerful, but we need to have the possibility of having explainability, having ethics by design that is applied to this technology that at the end needs to reduce the biases that are implicit in the decision process. The second section is on an internet of trust. Again, here we are thinking about the next generation of internet, how we can make it more resilient, sustainable, and decentralized, and at the same time empower the end user that they need to have more control on their data and their digital identity. And the final sections is on extended reality. And here goes all on the interaction between technologies and human. And then we have experiences every day with collaborative telepresence, going in 3D and virtual and augmented reality, and interaction, of course, human-machine. Here we see key sectors already for the application of this technology, and it goes from the healthcare, manufacturing, education, but also culture and creativity. Once again, when we look at this type of technology, the European values of privacy, ethics, and inclusiveness should always be considered in your proposal. Said so, we cover all the main areas within the topics for the digital part of Horizon Europe. I just have a few additional information to share with you before making a short break. The deadlines for all the calls in 2022, they are split between April 2022 and November. That means that if you are targeting for the April deadline, is now the time to look for the topic and looking for partners for a consortium. Nicole already mentioned that the goal is full association of Switzerland to Horizon Europe. So far, we remain a third country. Please refer to the question and answer provided by Seri. Here on this slide, I will not spend too much time, but to mention that in digital, we have several partnerships. These are European initiative to bring together the private and the public part and working together for specific objective. Here I listed the one with focus on digital. Stay close to them if you have interest in a specific area. Now, looking outside, digital lives in a much wider ecosystem of European initiatives. And this includes different initiatives in other parts of Horizon Europe, and also including these missions that they need to use digital technologies. For example, if we want to achieve the mission on climate adaptation, we need to have digital solution for that. And at the end, remember, we are going toward a green digital transformation that really leads to the sustainable development goal in a worldwide way, in which when we think about, for example, to improve the quality in education, so that there's SDG number 4, clearly we need digital technologies and we need you to reach that. The last word that I want to mention is that the strongest link that Horizon Europe has with digital technologies is not within Horizon Europe, but with a completely new program that is called the Digital Europe program. This program focuses on the deployment of digital technologies. So if Horizon Europe remains more on research and innovation, the Digital Europe program is more on the deployment of mature technologies. Here there will be funding opportunities in all domains, from high performance computing, cloud data, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and also how to make SME more digital. The program is launching now. Stay close to Euresearch. We will tell you exactly when there will be funding opportunity accessible for digital from Swiss entities. Said so, we will take a 5 minutes break and then we will come back with Nicole. So I would suggest we reconvene at 11:25. So have a nice break and see you later.
Welcome back. A Europe fit for the digital age. This is a Europe fit for the digital age. This is one of the policy priorities of the EU and explains why, as Ricardo already stated, digital is everywhere in Horizon Europe. We will see in the next minutes what is up in the research infrastructures, the health and the security part of the program. These are all top-down topics for collaborative projects. And as an example, here I typed digital in the fundings and tender portal, and you see that the first three topics showing up are in security. You see the topic ID, Horizon CL3 2021 FCT, and then two health topics. There are many more, but it shows digital is everywhere. And we will see now, I will start with the opportunities available in the research infrastructures program. This program is in the pillar 1 because it's about excellent science, providing infrastructures for excellent science in all fields of research. The research infrastructure work program contains 5 destinations and 3 are relevant for us today. The first one is destination 2, enabling an operational, open and fair European open science cloud ecosystem. It is about fair research outputs, an answer to the European strategy for data. You have to provide value-added services and provide data space for science. There are 3 topics open in 2022. All research and innovation actions to enhance the open science practices and provide tools to incentivize these open science practices. Topics for the reuse and citation of digital information. Destination 3, it's about providing access to the best and in some cases unique state-of-the-art research infrastructures. So open up the research infrastructures to be used by the researchers in Europe and the world. And to do so, contribute also to innovative, customized and efficient research infrastructure services. There is one topic open. It is entitled Implementing Digital Services to Empower Neuroscience Research for Health and Brain-Inspired Technology via eBrains. eBrains is a running EU project, and you will have to provide these digital services to the neuroscience community. Then destination 4, Infratech, is about providing groundbreaking scientific instruments, tools, advanced digital solutions. And among these digital solutions could be digital twins, data analytics, and artificial intelligence tools, and also wider use of AI in research. There is also one relevant topic where you will have to provide R&D for the next generation of scientific instrumentation, tools, and methods. And whereas the topic in the previous destination was restricted to neuroscience, here the field is open and several projects will be funded, and you can choose which field you want to address. These were 5 topics in research infrastructures, where there in this program, it's about providing services in different fields for the whole research communities. Now we move to the digital health program, and here obviously the patient and persons are in the center. The health work program has also 6 destinations, and 3 of them are relevant for us today. Destination 1, staying healthy in a rapidly changing society. Here the aim is to understand the transition from health to disease, to define personalized tools for preventing these diseases, and help people self-manage their health. Therefore, I choose this picture with a smartwatch helping for self-management of health. There is one topic available in 2022 to develop trustworthy AI tools to predict the risk of chronic non-communicable diseases and or their progression. Then the destination 5 is about developing tools, a high quality digital service for all. It's also about reaching a competitive and secure data economy, about use of health data and innovative analytical tools, such as AI-supported decision-making. And 2 topics are open, where you will have to use synthetic data derived from digital twins, use real-world data to develop health data integration solutions. Then in destination 6, this is the industry destination. To achieve a European leadership in breakthrough health technologies. It is also about strategic autonomy in essential medical supplies and digital technologies. Here you hear the effects of the pandemic and the difficulties at the beginning to get medical supplies. You have to answer to this. This destination is also about a competitive and secure data economy. And 3 topics are open. One topic is to develop cybersecurity of medical devices. And the 2 others about multi-party computation, data anonymization techniques, synthetic data generation, and development of new pricing models. These were the 6 topics for in the health work program. Let's see now the civil security work program. Here, the focus obviously is on security of infrastructures, people, and there are 6 destinations and 2 are relevant for us. Destination 4, the cybersecurity. Here also the activities should support Europe fit for the digital age, should also support the digital and privacy policy of the Union, the EU cybersecurity strategy, and a more secure online environment. 3 topics are open or will be open, about monitoring of threats, about intrusion detection, and agile certification of ICT products. 2 are innovation actions, so closer to the market, and 1 is a research and innovation action. And Then we have destination 5. It is disaster resilient society. Here, losses from natural, accidental, and man-made disasters should be reduced thanks to preventive actions. One topic is open, entitled Improved Quality Assurance, Quality Control of Data Used in Decision-Making Related to Risk Management of Natural Hazards, Accidents, and CBRN Events. And CBRN stands for Chemical, Biological, and Radionuclear Events. So here we had 4 topics open. And my take-home message is in 3 points. I hope I convinced you that there are opportunities not only in the digital sector, in the digital work program, so don't open only the blue door, look also in other doors for opportunities that may be of interest to you. My second take-home message is read the topic text carefully. Every word is important and it gives you the precious information about what is asked for. So what is the focus? What are the policy elements you have to address, and what kind of activities are requested? And last but not least, if you have questions, doubts, if you would like, if you're not sure if your project idea fits a topic or which topic it would fit best, contact Euresearch. We are here for you and can help you target the perfect opportunity. With this, I thank you for your attention and give over to Ricardo.
Thank you, Nicole. And we enter the real last part of this event. And again, we focus that digital is everywhere. We mention that we'll present the topics starting from this destination grouping. And now we want to just give you an example of taking one single technology and show you where these lines that go span all over Horizon Europe is. We decide to take the technology that focuses on the use of data. And if we have to draw a line that goes across Horizon Europe, this line starts from research infrastructure, stop on health, civil security, clearly digital, climate, environment, and also a part in the widening participation in the European research area. What I want to do now is simply to make a stop on this line that we have not touched already, given that Nicole and myself, we touch on research infrastructure, health, digital, and we will make only one stop in cluster 2, that is on inclusive society. And if we stop looking at data in this cluster, that is not a cluster where you, with focus on digital, will look immediately, we'll see that here there is one topic that as a simplified title of artificial intelligence, big data, and democracy. This topic is in the scope that democracy and government, they've been reshaping due to the use of digital technologies. And big data and artificial intelligence currently and in the near future are really shaping the societies. This brings fantastic opportunities, but also big challenges. And this topic and this scope, you can really see that a pure digital focus entity cannot be tackled by itself. It needs to pair with other type of competences to tackle specifically this topic. But your expertise as digital expert is needed also here. This specific topics as outcomes is want to protect the fundamental rights and European values from unregulated use of artificial intelligence. And here is clear that we need expert in ethics, in fundamental rights, but also the digital expert. Another expected outcome is to use artificial intelligence and data to reinforce rights and European values, and also the engagement of citizens. This type of topic in this specific case is a research and innovation actions with a budget between 2 and 3 millions, where your contribution is essential to reach the outcomes. I want to stress that if you're familiar with the digital part of the work program, don't jump in the same mindset in, for example, this topic in cluster 2. Contact us. We have specific national contact points that can tell you what are the difference between the different clusters. I will not go further on this line, but here I will receive the slide after the event. We identify also a very interesting topic in the domain of energy that requires digital technologies to have an integrated wind farm control for optimizing production, and also a very interesting topic in cluster 5 environment that focuses on acquiring in situ observations datasets. So the point is, once again, that digital is everywhere. At the end of this event, we will also send you what we called cross-cutting topic previews, that are basically topic previews that are grouped the topics not based by destination or part of Horizon Europe, but based on the technologies that you see here. So if you don't know where to start and you don't want to focus only on digital, use one of these documents that we will provide to start identify the topics that are the most important for you. Said so, we reached the last question and answer section. So we'll take this occasion to answer your last questions before leading to a conclusion of the event. Good. We don't see any last question and answer, so we can directly jump into the conclusions. And here the message, before jumping to the conclusions, what I would like to know from you is your take-home message. We have been reactivating the chat in the function. I post now a message, and we would like to ask you to think for a few seconds of what is your main takeaway message from this event, and to post it in the chat. That also help us understand if our main messages went to you. So feel free to use the chat function and write your single main message that you will take away after this event. We will wait a few seconds. Thank you very much already for writing this comment. They are very useful both for us and we hope also for you. And so I just want to conclude for me on what would be the recommendation for the next steps, the real next step that I would suggest you to do. The first one will be to find your few topics that are very in your interest. For each of these, to identify exactly what is your contribution, what is your added value that you are bringing for a possible consortium in this topic. And when you have it, try to use all the suggestions that Mark gave us at the beginning on look for partners. Use your own network first, go to brokerage event, and hopefully you will be able to enter a consortium. As Nicole mentioned, we are here for you. Euresearch is the Swiss guide to European research and innovation. We are also close to you, independent on where you are. We have offices in all the different areas in Switzerland, and we offer a series of personal advice and other type of event. For example, the 9th of December, we will offer an applicant training on how to write a proposal. So go on our website, check in the event page and register to this event. When you will, at the end of this event, we will send you a follow-up email with the presentations and the documents on the topic preview. I want to conclude saying that digital technologies are really shaping all sectors of the society and the economy, and your contribution in work in this domain is crucial for reaching a sustainable future. For helping you reaching this goal, only in 2022, there are more than 100 topics available for a budget of more than 600 million euros for you research and innovation. I would like to thank my colleague Nicole, Mark remotely, and all of you for participating to the event. When you will log out, a survey will be launched automatically. Your feedback is more than welcome. Thank you all and have a nice day.
Thank you and goodbye also from my side. And a special thank to Mark Miller.
And thank you to Euresearch, and thank you very much for all the participants and your interesting questions and discussion. Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye-bye all.
Bye.